Hello, everyone. This is Sleepy Reader, Damien, and this is a sequel, a callback to a previous video from about 10 days ago, where I looked at the Heritage Auctions app and the pieces of artwork that I was tracking, a few of which I had bid on myself. And this is the follow-up. I think it's an hour or two before the auctions close. Only then they don't really close. Then there's some other level of the auction where you have to sign in and phone in or be live online or be at the auction sites to continue to bid. So these still won't be necessarily even that close to the final prices, but we'll see some evolution in the pricing, I guess. So I will turn on my app and show you what I'm looking at and give you my thoughts and follow up in terms of prices from when I looked the first time. Here's one of the first things I looked at before, and it is closed. I don't know if someone now owns it, it sold for $21,600, including the buyer's premiere, whatever it's called. And when I looked at it before, it was up for $5,520 when we first looked at this together. So the final price was about four times more. So $21,000, give or take, will get you a nice Bronze Age Neal Adams Avengers page, I guess. Now let's see what was next on my... Oh, look, see, things are disappearing. What's going on? Okay, this John Buscema Khazar cover sold for $25,200. When we looked at it before, it was up to $5,520. So, is that worth $25,000? That's, I guess, would be the going price of a really good Bronze Age John Buscema cover. I don't know if it being number one, a cover to a number one issue, is there any special value in that, or is it just because it's kind of an iconic image, a particularly strong Buscema cover? Or it also, I assume, matters what character, although Khazar or Khazar is not the most popular character. So the next one I looked at was this one, which is a Avengers cover by Sal Buscema. It was up to $7,500, but it seems to have sold for $48,000. Very nice cover. I mean, I'd really like to have that if it went for $2,000. Yeah, I'm sorry about the weirdness of this app. I haven't seen this problem before. So another one was another Sal Buscema cover, another really nice one. I recall this issue very fondly as a child from my childhood. Went for $42,000. It was at $8,700 when we last looked at it. Mind Slaves of the Red Ghost. Does it help that it has Silver Surfer on the cover? I mean, this went for even more than that John Buscema Khazar book. It's not a number one or anything. I'm just wondering, is it just any classic Sal Buscema cover from this period will go for a very large amount of money, $42,000 in this case? What was that even more than that Avengers cover? Wait, I'm losing track because I'm distracted by this thing. No, so the Avengers cover went for more than the Defenders cover. It was a little earlier. Avengers are more... I mean, I can't really parse what makes which art the most valuable. I guess it might be at the end of the day, it's just a matter of feeling. People look at it. Do they really like that cover? Does it, is it by a classic artist from a classic era? I mean, here we have a 1963 page of Spider-Man from Steve Ditko, which ended up selling for $66,000. And when I looked at it, it was already up to $46,800 when I looked at it before. It's definitely a nice classic looking Ditko early Spider-Man page. And there was this one that I really kind of lusted after. In particular, it sold for $19,200, a mid-70s splash page of Captain America from Jack Kirby. Just a beautiful little beast of a page. What was the... it was going for $5,040 when I looked at it before, and it ultimately sold for over $19,000. Is this because it's not a cover, even though it's a double page splash, it's not as valuable? I'm not sure. It would be interesting to compare a Cap cover from the same era. But to me, those double-page splashes are more exciting even than a cover. Here is a cover, but it's not from Captain America, and it ultimately sold for a little bit more, $21,000. It was up to about $5,000 when I looked at it before. Now, even though they don't credit it, this cover was probably laid out by another artist and not by Jack Kirby. And if you look at it, it isn't as dynamic as something Jack Kirby would do, probably, although it's pretty dynamic and it looks pretty cool. And it's a more obscure group, the Champions. But my understanding is that Al Milgrom and other people at the Marvel Bullpen would send a sketch to Jack Kirby, and then out in California, and then he would do the cover for these mid-70s covers. And I could be wrong on that. That's just... that might not be all covers, so maybe Kirby did design some of these covers, but that's just the impression I have from some article I read at some point. Here's a John Romita Spider-Man. This is page 11 of issue 42, and when we first looked at it, it was already up to $18,000, and it ultimately sold for about twice that, $36,000. A nice page. Not like the most stunning Romita page, but early in his run, I don't know if it being older, would something from 40 issues later by Romita be worth more or less, or would it be the same? Here's some Romita. Here's a cover. It ultimately sold with the BP, the buyer's premium. That's what's called, the buyer's premium. It sold for $312,000. Holy cow. Is this one cover worth the cost of a pretty nice house? Here in Portland, maybe a pretty humble house, but in other parts of the country, a pretty nice house for over $300,000. That just kind of blows my mind. I mean, I love this piece of artwork. I'd love to own it, but who has $300,000 plus to buy it? It also shows you how expensive this buyer's premium gets when you're in the high end, because stupid app. You're going to hear me say stupid app over and over again. Sorry about that. This without the buyer's premium, it was $260,000. So the buyer's premium that Poor Heritage charged was over $50,000. You got to add on. Here, a much lesser cover, I guess less iconic, a cool cover, but also by Romita, went for $84,000. Oh, and that Kingpin thing when we were looking at it originally was up to $150,000, so it about doubled in price. This Rocked by the Shocker cover was at $42,000 when we looked at it, and it doubled in price too from the price. So almost as a rule of thumb, you could say prices double or triple if you're looking early on in the bidding. I mean, I'm such an amateur, sometimes I'll early on just bid my maximum and say, well, maybe no one will notice this piece and it will come to me. And that's probably happened a few times, actually, but with more obscure things. So, more affordable cover at $84,000. Let's see what's up next. Wallywood, a nice matte page from Mad Magazine doing Super Duper Man. This is from Mad number 4, and it's a beautiful piece. We tend to forget how good Wally Wood was at satire. And I am really wanting to add a Wally Wood piece to my collection. This one went for only $31,200. Very unaffordable, let's be honest. And an even bigger deal, a splash page to an EC comic for $43,000. So in the end, their prices kind of evened out there, because that this splash page was already up to $19,000 when we first looked at it, whereas the page from Mad was less than $5,000. So at any given time, the prices you see don't necessarily track for later on. And then this Wally Wood Adam and Eve, which is just from I think a poster he made during the 70s for the adult audience, such as it was back then, went for $26,000. It was up to $6,000 when I looked at it before. That's a beautiful piece. But again, for me, it might be worth $200 if I could have gotten it for that amount of money. Okay, those are the ones that have already closed. And some of the other ones that I looked at are still open with an hour to go. There was this lesser Neil Adams at from the House of Secrets. Lesser meaning it's not as valuable as, and it's only at up to $9,300. It may go up higher before then. I actually bid on this, I guess. I forgot I did that for $1,900. One of my things where I thought, I'll bid my max and see whether I win. But I was off, by a factor of what? Factor of 4, maybe 4 or 5. Ultimately, it's a nice cover, but even if I had more money than like I said, my maximum, and I think it's very generous on my part, I never would have done this in the past, was $2,000. Here is a John Buscema and Frank Giacoa Submariner page that is currently up to $2,400. And where was it at? Since things are out of order now, I wrote a little list from my previous video. I think this was up to $990 already. It's a handsome page. I don't think it's the best of Buscema just because it's kind of confusing in terms of the sequentials. Lots of nice illustration, though. Prime Buscema in that way. So maybe you can get this for under $3,000 before the bidding's over, possibly. Here's Avengers, which is even more tempting to me. It's up to $2,760. I didn't ever try bidding on this. I assumed it would go up even higher than it's at. It was only up at $690 when we looked at it before. I wonder if this will jump up even higher before the final bidding ends. Now let's see. They say the auction date status. I don't know. Some of these may not have a live thing. Oh wait, here it says this is in lot. This lot is in 4 signature floor session. Live floor, live phone, mail, fax, internet, and heritage live. Will start at 1 p.m. Central Time. It's probably about 12:30 Central Time, 11:30 Central Time. I'm not sure. No, it's probably 11:30 Central Time right now. So in about an hour and a half, they will start their, quote, live bidding. And I don't fully know how to do that. But I think if I were to sign up properly and be online sitting by my computer, I could do that. But I couldn't, just check the app every now and then and keep bidding the way I can here. So, here's one that interested me a lot. A Doc Savage cover by John Buscema is up to $25,200 now. It's another nice cover. It's a #1 issue. Again, I don't know if it affects that. It's the famous or infamous picture box covers, where they put a box around everything at Marvel Comics for 12 months. I always thought it was a great design feature. I don't think anyone's ever brought it back. Maybe I've seen it occasionally at Archie Comics. Anyway, I love that cover, but I'm not going to spend over $25,000 to get it. Be interesting to see how high it goes in the end. This Conan one, which I didn't like very much, was... Did I even write? Oh, yeah. This was at $500 when we first looked at it, and now it's up to $2,700, $2,760. It's just kind of another splash page that's a less exciting and kind of, in this case, kind of an oddly laid out splash page. Not what you think of from John Buscema. And then there's this Steve Ditko Hulk page. Now this one, I'm surprised it's not up higher. I guess when it's not Spider-Man, even though this is Ditko at his classic best, the prices are lower. It was up to $7,500. It's hardly moved. It's at $8,700 now, unless my notes are wrong. Yeah, instead of Peter Parker, you've got Rick Jones, but it almost looks like Peter Parker. So yeah, if you have less money, you might still get some Steve Ditko, but I don't have that much money, but less money than the Spider-Man ones. Here at $4,000, very inexpensive Silver Age, but it just doesn't. It looks a mess. Actually, it is supposedly Jack Kirby, but it doesn't look at all like a Jack Kirby page. And inked by Tom Sutton. So not the strongest work by either of those guys. Here's something that I really lusted after, but again, way over my limit, at $11,700 so far, with a couple more hours to go, I guess, between the two different kinds of auctions. I just think this is a really awesome cover, and this is late Kirby, 1984. So he still occasionally could really pull it off, even by then. And it was going for $3,900 when we looked at it before, so it's roughly tripled in price so far. Maybe it'll jump up even further. Here's a John Romita Daredevil page. It's up to $4,320. It was at about $700 when we looked at it before, so that's jumped up a lot. But still a more affordable Romita. Here's a Romita Submariner cover going for about $13,000. And when we looked at it before, did I write it down here on my little list? Maybe I missed that one. Yeah. Anyway, a quote affordable cover. Now this I added later on. I don't think it was on my tracked list when we last talked, but it's a Barry Smith doing excuse me, Barry Smith doing Doctor Strange. I think he just did an issue or two of Doctor Strange, and it's a pretty cool and creepy page. I'd love to own it, but it's only a little bit over my budget at $3,480. And I was looking at the Steranko page, which I thought was a very interesting one. It's now up to $9,300 $9,000 roughly, and it was around $4,000 when we looked at it before. Interesting to see the photo that he just pasted right in there, or maybe it was a Xerox of a photo. It almost looks like. Had I looked at this Kurt Swan, or maybe I added it later, this Kurt Swan cover for Superman is only a little over my budget at $3,000. That's a really nice cover. I think it's kind of beautiful. It's a Swanderson cover, I think, with Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson. Superman looking quite middle-aged there. There was something kind of comforting about the middle-aged Superman to me as a kid. Only $3,000. Here's another cover by the same team at $3,700. Maybe a little cooler cover, although I don't think it's actually as good as the other cover, but it has kind of the Fortress of Solitude, which maybe kind of adds some extra glamour to this cover. And it's from a little later on. Let's see. Oh, here's a Wally Wood one that, no, I didn't bid on this one, but it's up to $15,000. Wally Wood is commanding decent prices. A Frank Brunner piece that I think I added on later. Also Doctor Strange. That's a beautiful page. And just over at $2,500, a bit over my limits. Would I pay $2,000 for that, though? I mean, I'm a Frank Brunner fan, but maybe not enough. It has to be, even for my pushing my budget, it has to be artists that super excite me. I don't know. I might buy that if it were $2,000, but I think it's more for me like something that if somehow I could get it a lot cheaper than that. There was this Silver Surfer page by the classic John Buscema and Sal Buscema team from 1969, but it doesn't have the Surfer or any other important character on it, so it's only going for $930. Should I get a page like that? I don't know. I already have some John Buscema, so the urgency to get more John Buscema is a little lower, but I do like this team. I do like Buscema inked by his brother. I don't think I'm going to bid on anything today. I mean, I made my bids earlier and everything. Well, here's a cover for under $1,000. And actually, looks like I bid $300 on it, but it's up to $840. I like it. I think it's a beautiful cover, but I'm not sure. Do I really want it for the price there? You know what? I got to think about that. I've got 23 minutes left. Of course, then someone else can steal it from me. You know what? Let's place a bid. Let's see. I'll just say $850. See, it doesn't tell you what you're really bidding for at $850 till after you press confirm bid, and it says you've been outbid. Your secret maximum bid of $850 has been outbid by another bidder's secret maximum bid. Please bid again. So unfortunately, I can't show you how in this box it would have then showed me what my real price was with the buyer's premium. But I'm not going to bid again. I think that's probably as high as I want to go. So now the price, I've just driven the price up to $1,050. Or without the premium, you could say $875. So, and if you're, say in 5 or 10 years you want to sell this piece through Heritage, they charge you something. I don't know what, but someone who sold through them mentioned there are fees. And then what you are actually getting as the seller would be this $875 minus whatever fees. But you've paid $1,000 if the price didn't change, is what I'm saying. So the price would have to go up quite a bit before you start making profit. I'm guessing this bid price would have to be well over $1,000 to just break even, 5 years later or something. Not that I'm really thinking about that. I'm thinking about that a little bit. When I buy art over a few $100s, I'm thinking about, will my family be able to sell it after I'm dead? This was interesting to me, a page of the Defenders, but it just wasn't a very exciting page. I do love the Defenders from this era. Defenders number 20, art by Sal and Vince. And maybe the part of the problem is the Vince. but it's also just not a page with a very exciting layout on it. But it's, quote, affordable at $690. Of course, I would have to, if I wanted, I would have to pay more than that. I have to outbid that. We got some Submariner by Gene Colan, which is up to $1,300. It's kind of a weird looking page. I think I just find that figure and that figure very weird, although that's kind of classic Gene Colan there. And let's see, there's more Gene Colan. There's these pages from Captain America without Cap in them. So for about $500, you get this Gene Colan Joe Sinnott page. You know, that seems like kind of a good deal to me. I'm just not quite there at the moment. I guess I've got 22 more hours to think about that one. And there's another one from the same issue that's going for a bit more. And it has the Falcon in costume now. I think in that previous one was the Falcon before the costume. So you get the Falcon in costume. Kind of a interesting action sequence. A little confused. Joe Sinnott inking Gene Colan is interesting. I can't decide whether I like it or not, actually. So that one's about $700 for now. I mean, if I bid on it, I'd have to go up higher. Oh, and here's a Gene Colan one that I thought was very interesting. Inked by Sid Shores, who was a good inker, going way back to 1971. It does have Daredevil here, but they're just interesting shots of Daredevil, this extreme close-up with, I don't know what that is, pieces of paper or shards of something, and then Daredevil's back here. What's that one going for? It's up to $1,100. Did I write down the price of that previously? It was at $250 when we last looked at it. Oh, and I bid on it already for $200. Yeah, I like that page. Here's that Will Eisner page that is basically nothing but lettering. It's up to over $2,000, which would be a reasonable price for an Eisner page if there was actually drawings on it. I mean, there is the drawing of this pumpkin and the cat and the graveyard, but there's just not much to see. It mostly feels like a page of lettering. Oh, it was at $336. So somebody has decided to pay real money for it at $2,100. This Kirby page is up to about $5,000 now. It's a nice middle-of-the-road demon page, not like something incredible, but very good and very Kirby from that era. And it was at $2,000 before. And there's this Commandy page, which is up to nearly $2,000, and it was at $1,200 before, so it hasn't gone up a lot. It's a nice page. There's something about the Bruce D. Berry inking that makes the art look flatter than if it were by Mike Royer. It's hard to put my finger on why Bruce D. Berry's wasn't quite as good as Mike Royer. And then we've got a Kirby with Mike Royer, an OMAC page without any OMAC on it, just the villain Dr. Scuba at $1,600. It was only at $700 when we last looked. Yeah, that would be a Kirby page I could afford, but I'm not too excited by it. Can I afford the Commandy page? No, I mean, if I bid on it, it would have to go up over $2,000. Here's something interesting that I added on later, up to $1,500 now. This page by Jim Starlin from Master of Kung Fu. It's I don't know. It's a nice page, but maybe I don't want to spend that much money on it. Stuff you can get cheaper. Some random page of Curt Swan and Murphy Anderson doing Superman in 1971, up to $120 right now. So maybe you could get this for under $200, but there's no Superman on the cover. On the page, just his shirt, I guess. It's a nice page, though. And here's a Superboy cover that you could get for somewhere over $600. There's still 22 hours in the bidding. That's actually kind of a cool cover. I guess maybe it has the feeling like you're just seeing panels rather than a cover, and maybe that makes it less popular. It is Curt Swan and Murphy Anderson, the classic team. And here's the Wally Wood that I bid on. I bid $200 on this, and it's only gone up, the official bidding to $260. It's only gone up to $312. But I'm just in a picky mood right now. I just don't know if I want even this Wally Wood. Even though I say I'm craving some Wally Wood in my collection. Here's something that I added on later, a Mike Grell page up to $2,000, but there's 3 days left. That's a very nice page. Just not sure how badly I want some Warlord. Do I want to spend $1,200? That's, it sounds like a small amount of money after all this other stuff we've looked at, but still, it's a lot of money for me. Here's a Steve Rude page at $78. It's a Nexus page. I ought to bid on this. Yes, I really should. That's interesting. There's 3 more days to go. Let me try bidding on that. That will show you. I will go high on this. I will bid $200. I'm going to click on here where there we go. Confirm bid for $200. And now it tells me you're the current high bidder with a secret maximum bid of $200, which would be $240. But then up here I see what I currently would owe if I win right now, $105. I'd feel quite happy for that. On his own website, you can't, when Steve Rude sells his art, you can't really get much of anything for under like $600 or maybe $350 on some minor pages. But yeah, I would like that page quite a bit. Now here's Steve Rude from Man of Steel, but it's just not a very interesting page at all. So from the recent Brian Michael Bendis Man of Steel, it's currently only up to $71. There's 3 more days on that. So anything could happen in 3 days. So I don't know. Maybe that Steve Rude page that I just bid on will go sky high and I won't. Here's interesting to me. I mean, I have no idea what the value of the Love and Rockets type of art is. Here's a page from Love and Rockets, Volume 2, number 18, from 2007, so fairly recent stuff in the scope of things, that went for just under $700. It's not a very dynamic page. It's a nice looking page. Somehow it's less appealing because it has, to me, because it has this dialogue or monologue, interior monologue, done in just free-floating text. It's less comic booky and somehow less fun then. I don't know. And here's a Jim Starlin page from Dreadstar that I was looking at, which has closed. So its final sale price was $2,880. It was much lower when I looked at it. I started tracking. I thought, well, maybe I'll buy that. And obviously I missed the boat. I wasn't around when the final bidding happened. But I don't think I would have wanted to pay that much because that's above my maximum limit that I allow myself. So, okay, well, I think I've covered a lot and too much. Thanks for joining me on this little journey. I hope it was interesting a second time around. and I will be back soon to talk to you all later.